At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Navigating through this spiritual journey is challenging. Healers need healers, trainers need trainers, and leaders need leaders too. If you're looking for a space that offers Reiki healing, emotional mastery, chakra healing, and even one-on-one spiritual consultation, visit us at todayswellness.com. Get all your spiritual needs met and just have someone you can actually talk to. Because whatever it is that you are seeking is also within you.
Ẹ̀kọ́ dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.
Oh, let me change this. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I don't want that one. We don't want that one yet. Hold on. Give me a second. Bam. There we go. Peace, everyone. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Uhuru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button. And please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. You know, I love all of you. I love every single one of you, my beautiful people out there in the In Search for Uhuru verse. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it the In Search for Uhuru verse. Thank you so much. Couple of announcements. Announcement number one, we're rolling to Zanzibar in a couple of weeks. If you are last minute, if you're like, listen, I want to come to Zanzibar last minute, we have a spot for you. Okay, we got one spot for you. So if you're interested in joining us, please visit Danfo.Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, that's DANFO .Africa to learn more. We will love to have you. Let me pull it up real quick. And guys, listen, do me a favor, every single one of you. Every single one of you. I need you, when you go to the site, please subscribe to the newsletter. Again, please subscribe to the newsletter, okay? Yeah, please subscribe to the newsletter. I would greatly appreciate it, you know, so I can have everyone's contact info, and would love to stay in contact with you guys and let you guys know what all is going on in the In Search for Uhuru verse. So please visit Danfo, DANFO. It's Danfo.Africa, DANFO.Africa. That's the site, Danfo.Africa. So we're rolling this Zanzibar in a couple of weeks. We are also going to Benin. That's going to be January 3rd to the 12th, January 3rd to the 12th. We're going to Benin. And we have 4 spots remaining for that. I'm going to take a small group when it comes to Benin. Now, Sierra Leone, they should be announcing the citizenship ceremony any day now. Like, that should be coming down the pipeline any day now. So, guys, please be prepared. Please be ready. Ready for that. Yeah, please be ready for that. You know, once that announcement is made, you know, y'all just got to be ready. you know, that's just how it works with Sierra Leone. Hey, that's just how it works. But again, guys, when the announcement is made, have your chips together, have your plans together, you know, make sure you call your employer. If you work a job, let them know you're going out of the country. Yeah, yeah, guys, there we go. Got that done. This one little clerical thing I got to do. Okay, there we go. We're good to go. So yeah, just make sure you guys have everything situated. I'm interested in visiting Botswana. I'm not going to Botswana anytime soon. I have no plans to go to Botswana. Not saying it'll never happen. Not saying it will never happen, but at this moment, Botswana just isn't. Botswana just isn't on my radar. I'm more of a West African guy. Next year, we're probably going to go to Namibia instead of Zanzibar. We're probably going to go to Namibia instead of Zanzibar. There's a jazz festival in Namibia in October. I'm getting the details. So, I know a lot of people have asked about Namibia. So, we're going to probably roll to Namibia next October instead of going to Zanzibar. Just switch it up a little bit. I'm a West African guy. I prefer traveling to West Africa, but to break the monotony, we'll switch it up here and there. So like we're going to Zanzibar, and instead of Zanzibar next year, we'll probably go to Namibia. So I only take people to countries that I've visited first. So I've never been to Botswana. So therefore, I wouldn't take people to Botswana yet until I go there and touch ground and move around and get lost, and get overcharged, and all that other stuff. So I haven't been to Rwanda either. I'm not interested in like those Rwanda, Botswana. Like I'm just not really interested in those countries, really. Like it's just, to me, my honest opinion, like where I've been in West Africa compared to East Africa and South Africa, you get just that like it's a different vibe. I love that vibe and that magnetism. I just love it. In West Africa, Nigeria, from Senegal, not a big fan of the Gambia, all the way down to Nigeria, to Mali. The vibe's different. I just prefer that part of Africa. There's an Afro Jazz Festival in Paris where you attend. No, I do jazz festivals in Africa. That's what we do. We do jazz festivals in Africa, not in Paris or anywhere else. Yeah, just primarily focused on Africa. So yeah, so that's it. Please visit donfo.africa to learn more. And so then next year, we're going to Sierra Leone in April, Senegal in June for the Jazz Festival. And then we're rolling to Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. So that's for next year. So people who have to plan ahead of time, you need master plan. There you go. That's those are the plans. So there we go. Let's jump into today's topic. I was on my scrolling on my Instagram, and on my timeline popped up. So there's an African like under 18 basketball tournament going on in South Africa, and the Nigerian team was denied visas to South Africa. And my thing is, leave the kids out of it. There we go. South Africa has denied visas to Nigeria's national under 18 basketball team. It's AfroBasket. And it's just like, I mean, leave the kids out of it. Let the kids play. Let the kids ball. I don't get South Africa sometimes. Well, I mean, I get them, but I can't. I don't want to believe some of the things that they do, especially to fellow Africans, especially to Nigerians. So I wanna play this clip, and it's embarrassing, not just for South Africa, but just Africa in general. So there's this big, people are upset that we're Africans, Pan-Africanism, but we can't move around freely. We can't move around freely without visa. I get it. Visas are needed. I understand there are borders, but at the same time, like, why can't these kids compete? Why aren't you allowing these kids to come to your country? It's called AfroBasket. Why aren't you allowing these kids to come to South Africa and compete? Fair use, Adiola Fayahun. Let's listen to her.
As a business owner, it's important to lean into your strengths and do the things that only you can do. And my best secret is using HoneyBook for the rest.
Okay, that's it. What exactly is the color of South Africa's problem? Why would you deny our under-18 basketball team visas to the 2024 FIBA under-18 AfroBasket tournament? I'm trying to come up with a reasonable reason for you. There's nothing justifies this behavior. It is absolutely against the spirit of sportsmanship. I'm really hoping that they will issue them visas even before this video comes out, because Nigeria is scheduled to play Egypt tomorrow, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pretoria time. Our female team has already landed in South Africa, but the fact that they denied our male team visa is appalling. Even if they eventually give it to them, it shouldn't take people shaming you for you to do the right thing. We've been playing this AfroBasket tournament since 1977, guys. 1977. It used to be called FIBA Under-18 African Championship, and it's supposed to bring us all together in the spirit of sportsmanship. Are you not able to put your differences aside just for a brief moment to allow our young people to play?
Yeah,
Or
let's
are you
allow the
still
young people to
upset
play.
that the first time it was hosted by South Africa, Nigeria won? That was 2006, 18 years ago. You should have gotten over that by now. And it has nothing to do with the fact that we were in South Africa. We're just that good. We're just good. We've won 7 times. Some people said 6 times, but I think it's 7 times. And I know that you've never won. It's okay. We feel your pain. But you don't win by not allowing fair play. We all want to see you win too at some point, And this is the second time that it's been hosted by South Africa. Who knows? Maybe you would win this time. But honey, this is not how to do it. First of all, it is sad. It is really sad that as Africans, that we need visa to travel within our own continent to other African countries. Say whatever you want. That's a conversation for another day. But guys, we will thrive better if we're united, especially economically. And it would limit all this foreign interference in our politics. But again, that's a topic for another day. Not all South Africans are happy about this development, by the way. Shout out to those that are standing with us at this time that they denied us visa. So it's not just Nigerians that are wondering what in the world just happened. So shout out to those South Africans standing with us. And I know that there are some South Africans that are celebrating that they denied us visa. Don't worry, we'll still meet you at the tournament. But then, is it that the Nigerian team waited till last minute to apply for their visas? Or they held their passport for a long time? Because I've heard that South African embassy in Nigeria holds people's passports for a long time. But it shouldn't even matter. That shouldn't even matter. This is sports, Yebo, sports. Whoever wins would earn the right to represent Africa at the next year's FIBA Under-19 Basketball World Cup in Switzerland. I beg.
Yeah, so that's what's going on in South Africa. Africans can't get a visa to play a tournament. You can't get a visa to play in an African tournament, AfroBasket. You can't get a visa. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's see here. Of course, we discussed the whole Miss South Africa thing, but somebody brought this to my attention. Two South African women were killed and fed to pigs. Pig farm murder. Two women killed and fed to pigs. This is crazy. So this is what's going on in South Africa right now.
Okay, let's now take you back to Limpopo, where a farmer and two of his employees are accused of killing two women and throwing their bodies into a pigsty. My colleague, that is Naledi Moleo, is covering that story for us this morning. And Naledi was saying that I remember the conversations that we had off air as Zola Sholana was covering this particular story. But take us back to Maria Makgato and Lucia Ndlovu. What is their story? How did their bodies end up in that pigsty?
Yeah, well, I can tell you this, Aldrin, that from the conversations that you and I had on and off air, to be here and see where their bodies were found is, I mean, to say it's overwhelming is really quite the understatement. The area absolutely filthy. As you can see, though, this pigsty here on the ground would have been, the leftovers of the dumping that would have been done by the dairy product and big brand Clover. Of course, we know that this is where they would dump some of their expired products. And essentially, at this farm here in Onvoorwacht, the people of Sebayeng, just about 5 kilometers away, every now and then, upon hearing about the dumping of these dairy products, quite often will come here to pick up some of these products. So if you see milk cartons, juices, all of these expired products that the community says once in a while they come and pick up a little bit so that they're able to come home and feed their families. But this is also where the bodies of Maria Makgato and Lucia Ndlovu were found. The stench absolutely overwhelming. It is the stench of course, not just the pigs in and of themselves, but also the smell very much of these expired dairy products. And so if you think about the indignity of having to find your mother here, which is what, of course, we heard from the son of Maria Makgato, saying he simply cannot get that image out of his mind, seeing his mother in this place with the top half of her body already started to be eaten by these pigs here that are behind us. But of course, the three suspects in the matter are going to be appearing in court today, and we'll be heading down there. But when we arrived in Polokwane yesterday, Aldrin, I must say this, we started off by going straight to the Makgato household to meet with the family. And upon arrival, we did also find the mayor, executive mayor of the Polokwane municipality, there to meet with the family. And one of the questions that we asked the mayor is how we got to a place where a community in Polokwane is so close to all the development that is in this city, is so desperate that it has to come here to pick up food. And this is what he had to say.
We will have to investigate, how did some of this happen, where people become so disparate to go to, dumping sites. And it's a matter that we have been in conversation as well with the family to try and see how we can assist with burial, but also beyond just burial. How do we get the family out of the situation that it found itself in? So it's a matter of concern for us, but we do have programs that seek to I think as a municipality, we've got programs that should make sure that such situation, our people should not become so disparate to that extent.
All right. So there are, of course, two issues that need to be looked at here as well. And that is the issue of course, the poverty that is being experienced by the people of Sibayeng. And what the mayor, of course, talked about is Sibayeng in and of itself is an area that is growing quite rapidly because of its proximity to the city. And hence, he says you do also have quite the large population of foreign nationals in the area. Hence, the other victim in this murder, Lucian Ndlovu, the Zimbabwean national. But then, of course, there is already the question around should they have been on this property? The farm owner, of course, having for months allegedly complained about trespassing on this very land by people from the Sibayeng village and surrounds coming to collect what is dumped off by this dairy company. But at the same time, the question remains, was this a farmer responding to trespassing? And or was this a racially motivated murder and attack? Well, I did ask that question to the mayor as well about how he viewed the matter, if it was racially motivated. And this is what he had to say, Aldrin.
What will cause a person to become so violent unless the two women were posing violence or threat to the owner of the farm, to the owners of the farm. We do not encourage trespassing, but having said that, we will also ask ourselves if those women were white, whether they would be dead now, you know. So we will suspect some form of racism on our side, because we doubt if that trespassing, if it was of the same race, the same incident would have occurred.
All right. Well, the farm owner, Zachariah Johannes Wolefir, his supervisor, Adrian Rudolph, and as well as the employee, William Musora, are going to be appearing in court for their bail application. And we'll bring you those proceedings live. Civil society and many groupings as well expected outside of their protesting as well. So we'll take you there in just a few moments. I send it back to you, Aldrin.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. And of course, a harrowing story considering the desperation of these families living in Sibayeng. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, let's now take you back.
Yeah, so that's what's going on in South Africa. Denying visas, upset that a woman with Nigerian heritage wins Miss South Africa or competes in Miss South Africa. But stuff like this is going on. South Africans and a Zimbabwean woman is being fed to pigs, and they just protest. That's just sad. Hold on, let's give me a second.
Why would you invest in the S&P 500, which historically only gives you 9.9% returns annually, when you could invest in something else that's both safe and secure?
Now, in a shocking event, 3 people, including farm owners, were arrested in Limpopo province in South Africa following an incident where they allegedly killed 2 black women. Now, it is reported that on the 17th of August, Magato, Zimbabwean national Lucia Ndlovu, and her husband went to an overwrought farm to harvest rotten products dumped by a dairy merchant. The trio allegedly shot them and allegedly proceeded to remove their bodies before feeding them to pigs. The trio has since appeared in court. The matter was postponed to August 30th for profiling. They're facing charges of attempted murder and possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition. To discuss this, we're joined by SAFTU spokesperson Trevor Shaku. He joins us from Gauteng, South Africa. Trevor, thank you so much for joining us. This is indeed a shocking development. What was your first reaction to the news of this horrific crime, and how do you believe that this reflects the current state of racial tensions in South Africa?
Look, our reaction to this horrific news was that South Africa is firstly still steeped in the racial tensions, which are a legacy of apartheid and colonialism. But more so based on this incident itself, we actually are utterly disgusted by what has happened, which in our view is equals to an inhumane act by the racist individuals who were owning that particular farm. Olivia, who actually is the owner of the farm and who would have led the attack on the poor people who, of course, were wandering around looking for food. But to attack people because they're wandering around looking for food is unjustifiable. But secondly, it shows the utter racist attitude that they have and harbor, which they direct against the poor Black working class people in this country. And we think that it has to be condemned. But more so, what it reveals is that these issues continue to plague our country, because not long ago, I mean, if you remember, there would have been a number of other incidences where farm owners who are Afrikaner, white, are continuously attacking Black people, maybe because they are saying they are trespassing on their farms whenever they hunt or where they are fishing. And we would have seen other incidences which were more treacherous, including as treacherous as this one, that young would have been when they were hunting, young people would have been shot when they were fishing, and their bodies would have been dumped in dams and all of that. So this actually highlights the continuous problems we continue to face of race relations in our country.
Now, we've seen the systemic.
Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Go ahead, Skylar.
Hey Don, it's just I just want to talk to a South African about this pretty much, but Delaware, if you want to go ahead, that's cool.
Go ahead, Delaware. Delaware, you gotta mute yourself. Delaware.
Yeah, what's going on, people?
What's up, Delaware?
Let me tell you something, bro. I'm not even gonna stay long. I'm getting ready to go to St. Louis, so I got a contract over there. I swear to God, Black South Africans is officially the worst Black people on earth. I'm sorry. Somebody's gonna have to explain something to me. I am so disgusted with them for the past couple of years. It's impossible for me to forgive them for any goddamn thing. From what they've been doing from the xenophobic shit for the past 10 years, all the way up to Miss Nigeria. Now this ongoing bullshit. I am so fucking disgusted with them. Sometimes when you talk to some of these South Africans, Black South Africans, they say, oh, we live in a rainbow country. And so and so and so and so. But if any Black South Africans are listening, let me explain to them what a rainbow country is, right? In South Africa, if you have 10 South Africans in a room and you have 10 slices of bread, to be fair, a rainbow country, and to be fair to everybody, each person will get one slice of bread. In South Africa, the 3 white South Africans and 7 Black South Africans in the room to get a slice of bread. 7 slices of bread would go to the 3 white South Africans, and 3 slices of bread would go to the Black South Africans to share. That's how divided and uneven the country is. And the Black South Africans believe they live in a rainbow country and it's okay. It's okay. Anything that happens when it comes to white people is okay. And they always say, oh, we will deal with them. Leave us alone. And so forth and so on. Right? They are despicable. I used to admire them for the fight they put up. Right? Because it's like the fight we put up in the diaspora as descendants of the people them that was captured and put in slave. So I used to admire their fight. Right? Not anymore. They are disgusting. They don't even want to acknowledge right? Except for, so we know we're not talking about all of them, but we're talking about a good percentage, because the ones them that talk unity with other Africans, they get rid of them. Malema and his people, they don't want them. They wish Malema would move to Nigeria or Zimbabwe or someplace else. You see what I'm saying? They are disgusted, including a lot of their politicians, right? Including a lot of their politicians. They are disgusting. You hear me tell you? I am utter sick of them. Some South African need to come on here and explain this to the community. But for now, they are canceled as black people in the world. They are canceled. You hear me tell you? No one likes them. Nowhere in the Caribbean, South America, nobody likes them. I want to deal with them anymore. Fuck every last one of them. That's all I'm got to say.
Okay. Iyamami, go ahead. Iyamami, you gotta unmute yourself. Iyamami, you gotta unmute yourself.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Yes, go ahead.
That's what I want to say is about South Africa. What's going on there right now? I'm so ashamed of them as African. I'm so ashamed that they call themselves African and they don't act like an African. They allow the other ethnic to dominate them. They allow what Nelson Mandela fight for. They don't allow Mr. Mandela to happy in his grave. I don't know what kind of anger, I don't know what kind of evidence South Africa have to Nigeria. Only what I want to tell them is that they need to remember that when they're fighting to have their own freedom, African stand for them. Nigerians stand for them. South Africa, West Africa stand for them. Nigerians stand for them. Give them millions of dollars of money. Why? Why that they don't want Nigeria? They don't want some part of Nigeria. They don't want some part of Africa. Africa is a work people. Nigeria will work so hard to make our money. Nigeria will work so hard to make anything that we want in our life. And we make our own money. Our grandparents donate their own money. My parents, among of the people who they donate their lunch money for South Africa. Working class people is among people who donate their money for West Africa. Why? That West Africa, South Africa, they don't want to see anything, people, especially from West Africa, especially Nigerian. Why? My grandparents donate money. My mom donates his own money for lunch. People are in school that time. They donate money. They want Nelson Mandela to fight for Africa. Nelson Mandela spent so many years in prison. And this is what South Africa want to repay Nelson Mandela. Why South Africa is jealous about Nigeria? Nigeria is a working class people. They also, they fight, they work so hard for their things. They work so hard. Why they fighting? Why they jealous about Nigeria? Nigeria who fight for them, who stood for them, who donate their own money for them. Nigeria, we can have our own problem. We can be fighting our government. We can be fighting among ourselves. We are one. Now, because of the young under 18, they're going to South Africa to play basketball. You deny them. Do you South Africa want to tell me that there's no South Africa in Nigeria? Did South Africa want to say there's no South Africa in Nigeria? or in Lagos or in Abuja? South Africa need to answer that question. Did South Africa people want to tell us that there is no South Africa in America here? Or the South African people want to tell us that there is no South Africa in Ghana? They should wake up from their slumber. They should learn. They should go and learn how to work with Africa. We're trying to be one Africa. Why South Africa are so crazy? Like they don't want to see Nigeria. If you treat your woman very good, your woman will love you. Nigerian men treat their woman very good. That's why South African women are running to Nigeria to marry them. I don't blame them. I blame Nigerian men who they cannot zip their pants looking for women when you have a lot of women in your own country, beautiful women. Because you marry them, you put in them, and these people they don't like you, and you give them baby, and the baby will come and pollute in Nigeria, our future. The kind of love Nigerian gave to South Africa, South Africa never gave love to any African. And they will be on TikTok ranting. They should go back and go and check archive. All what Nigerians do for South Africa, they should go. If Nigeria stand up today, we youth Nigeria stand up today that we want all our money that our government, our grandparents gave it to you. We want that South Africa can pay the money back. They can pay the money back. They cannot pay the money back. I watched one video. One stupid South African said, why Nigeria will be having house in South Africa? Why South Africa will be renting house in the hand of South Africa? Because Nigeria is a working people. We hustle every day. We don't want to carry last. If you hustle in your country, you will be a landlord. If you don't hustle in your own country, you have to rent out from a foreigner. These people and take their brain. Thank you. That is what I want to say. Thank you. Then.
All right, go ahead, Elvis. Unmute yourself, Elvis.
All right, Dinus. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we hear you loud and clear. Elvis.
Yeah, I'm here, Dinus. I just wanted to say that South Africa should be like a case study. You know, I can't 100% blame them. You know, the reason is I like to draw, juxtapose, not even juxtapose, but to draw some parallels with what's happening in the United States with African Americans. You know, people think that South Africans should hate the whites, they should be against them, they should try to get their land back. On the face of it, it would seem that way. But they've lived underneath these people for many, many years. And those South Africans that are in South Africa to understand the power structure of their country. The white South Africans, the white farmers, they are heavily backed by military missionaries who have most of the guns in their country. If South Africa was to quote unquote liberate themselves from the white, it would be a lot of death. It would be a bloodbath in their country. A lot of people know it. So there's a fear there that if they do rise up, ultimately they may win, but it will be a lot of deaths. So I don't think it's something that they really want. They're not prepared for it. But on the other hand, they realize that their country is as developed as it is because of the white businesses, the likes of the De Beers, the Cecil Rules, and so on, that has pillaged their country, but at the same time has helped develop it. And I'll put a little bit of blame on Nigerians also. You know, back in the days when we used to watch Nigerian movies, when I used to watch it at least, you would hear, Nigerians go to South Africa and they come back and it will tell you how they went to Joburg and South Africa is so developed. It's like being a West. They praise South Africans for having a more developed country. And it made them feel like they were superior to them because the country was quote unquote more, developed and quote unquote more civilized than Nigeria. And
Hey,
South
hey, give
Africans,
me
like
one
they
second,
do here in the
Elvis.
United States.
Elvis, give me 1 second, Elvis. Guys, links in the chat room. If a South African wants to call in, just click on the link. That's it. That's all. Go ahead, Elvis.
Right. So like they do here in the United States, like we're starting to see now with African Americans, wanting to feel better than the immigrants. So it's a similar thing in South Africa. They know that the whites are the higher class. Immigrants that come there, whether they're Nigerian, Zimbabwean, Angolan, whatever they're coming from, South Africans want them to know that the native South Africans is above them and they're underneath them. Anybody who is oppressed, once they have an opportunity and they feel like there's another group that is beneath them, they're going to start to oppress that group. It's a case study of human behavior. It's nothing new. I think this is what's happening in South Africa. I feel for them. I think they really need to change their mindset, and that mindset won't change as long as the whites are the overlords. And it's not as easy for them to get from underneath it, especially when they have the economic and the military power in that country. So I just want to put my 2 cents in there. I'll pass the mic.
Hey, can I speak real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Skyler.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Elvis too. Like, let's be honest, like the white people control South Africa. Like, they're not good at military rise up. They're used to white people owning things and white people being under the economic rule of white people. Kind of like here in America with with Tariq Nasheed, like FBA and ADOS, like they spend more time attacking immigrants than do like white people. But I feel like with Tariq Nasheed, it's more on the internet. It's not really manifesting into real life. Maybe not yet, but in South Africa, it's more like real life happening. Like there is like killings of Zimbabweans and their businesses. And even actual politicians like Gideon McKenzie actually like feeding into this not anti-Nigerian sentiment. But yeah, I feel like it is kind of you need to see this phenomenon between South African and FBA here in America. This phenomenon is kind of anti-African immigrant thing, but I feel like it's more prevalent in South Africa than it is here in America. But go ahead, D-Roy.
Yeah, that's no excuse, and it's nothing like America at all. F. Tariq, or whatever the hell his name is. All right, the South Africans then did not go through what the descendants of slaves went through. Okay, they have no excuse to act like that against their brother. They don't even like the countries right next door to them. Zimbabwe, Mozambique. Some of these people have the same ethnic background, especially in Zimbabwe. They have the same ethnic background, the same exact people they call foreigners. All right? They don't like the country within South Africa. Lesotho is in South Africa. Eswatini is in South Africa, inside South Africa. Right? They get along with no one. So they have no excuse, none whatsoever. Right? They're not the only one that suffered. They all suffered. And the people, the other Africans, them that's around them and far from them, all the way up to Algeria and Morocco and Egypt, they all received help during apartheid. Right? But no one gave them money like Nigeria. Right? Even though they may not receive physical help for them as far as fighting, right? But they gave them $5 million annually, add up to $61 billion. The Nigerian students didn't eat lunch and saved over $10 million for them, right? That's how much they were happy to do it. They were happy to do it. The South African government need to get on the goddamn mic and tell these people what Nigerians and other Africans did for them. My country, Jamaica, was the first one to sanction South Africa at the UN. They were the first one, right? They got help from Cuba, right? Of course, Russia, and so forth and so on. They are ungrateful son of a bitches. Fuck all of them. That's it.
All right, HRH, go ahead, unmute yourself.
How's everybody doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. I just want to chime in a little bit because I was still in Nigeria when apartheid was going on. I'm old enough to remember a whole bunch of things. I was attending University of Benin when you will have a whole bunch of people come over and ask you to donate money for the South African Liberation Funds. You know, so the way I see this is, I'm going to sound a little bit harsh, but I mean no disrespect to anybody. I think South Africa is suffering from a serious effect of, maybe you want to call it Stockholm syndrome. And I know that word flies around everywhere, but until you have actually witnessed the animosity towards you, if you are actually from West Africa, then you will understand the animosity. You know, um,
We lost you. Hello? HRH, we lost you. Hey guys, links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in at the conversation, click on a link. If you want to call in at the conversation, please
sorry
click
about
on
that. Can you hear me
Go
now?
ahead. I hear you now.
Sorry about that. Okay, I was basically saying that South Africa is suffering from a serious case of Stockholm syndrome, and I really don't blame them because I'm fortunate enough to live in the United States to understand the house Negro mentality. We also have that in Nigeria too, with the whole colorism thing, but this is a little bit more intense, and I think it's because of development, right? So the development in terms of infrastructure and all that good jazz that happened in South Africa is usually from the Dutch and from the colonial masters, and they're still living off that fame, right? So to them, it was, oh, we are big in Africa, we are the thing in Africa. I don't know if anybody remembers in the early 90s and early 90s all the way to the early 2000s, right? They had this one channel called Channel O, and that was the one stop for everything music. It was kind of like this African MTV, you know? Then what changed, though, is what people need to realize. What changed was the Abacha administration in Nigeria fell and democracy came 1999.
Hey, George, let me real quick. Sorry. So we're doing a show on and not to change topics, but when you finish your thought, you can respond to my question.
Yes, sir.
I was just in Abuja a couple of weeks ago, and you brought up Sonny Abacha.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a guy, and he was like, Nigeria was better under military dictatorship than it is democracy. And he gave an example of Abacha.
There is a point to that. I'm not even going to try to gaslight you on that. There's a point, right? So I get that sentiment. I used to feel that way, but not anymore. The reason I used to feel that way was because, yes, I kind of benefited from the Abacha administration because I was in northern Nigeria at that point in time, and my business was basically doing business with working with the government. So I get that sentiment. So I have to be clear and say, you know what, I get it, but I don't think it's true. The only thing I think was good, or a few things that were good during the Abacha time, was Nigerians had a little bit more discipline, and it was a little bit more prevalent. Now it's, I think we are enjoying democracy and we are also suffering from democracy. I hope that makes sense. So for example, some people will talk about Muammar Gaddafi, right? Muammar Gaddafi hated sub-Saharan Africans, but he had development for his people. But now, if you look at social media, you're going to hear sub-Saharan Africans even saying Gaddafi was a great person. Meanwhile, he killed a lot of sub-Saharan Africans. But they like him because he was bucking the West, right? Nigeria became a little bit stronger when we were sanctioned 3 ways to Sunday. We could not even watch MTV. We were actually getting um, fake satellite cables to actually watch things from overseas, So my point I'm trying to make here, sorry, I don't mean to digress so much. Nigeria opened up a little bit. It was kind of like we're no longer North Korea anymore. The world started knowing a little bit more about us. and we started venturing out. So that was the dividends of democracy. But what we lost in that aspect is a little bit of discipline, a little bit of self-pride. That was lost. I will admit to that. There were things that worked during that time and they don't work anymore. You know, and some people might talk about the currency is worse now, but which currency around the world is not worse now? You know, inflation is affecting everybody. The democracy we have right now in Nigeria sucks. I agree, but there is no military dictatorship that is
Are
better
we
than.
talking about Nigeria, South Africa, Dynasty?
I'm talking about both.
But I asked a question
He
about
changed topic a little bit.
Nigeria. So, but we are kind
He
of
was
talking about
asking.
Nigeria because
He was asking a question about Abacha. That's
right. So yeah, he brought up Abacha, and I asked the question about Abacha. So,
Okay.
Go ahead. Guys, links in the chat room. A couple of people asked for the link. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in after the conversation, please click on that link. If you want to call in after that conversation.
Yeah, well, Don, let me just say something because this dude just talking said, where's your proof that Gaddafi killed a lot of sub-Saharan Africans?
Oh, I got proof for you all day. I'm an Edo Benin man. I know a whole bunch. Kidding me? What? No, don't do that.
Where is your proof? Tell me your proof.
My proof were the sub-Saharan Africans, especially people from my tribe, Ishan people from Edo State, who did not come back. And those who came back. No, don't do that. 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 I have family members who are not here anymore, okay? Because they were looking for greener pastures and they tried to cross through Libya. So they died. Don't do that. No, don't do that.
Yeah, well, I have a different history of it, so I'm not going to get into it with you because we're just going to be going back and forth.
Brother, Gaddafi did a whole bunch of things for Africa that I like, but at the same time, he had beef with Nigeria, a lot of beef. Please research that. Please research the beef between Obasanjo and Gaddafi.
People have beef with a lot of different countries, bro.
I agree. I'm talking about the Pan-African sentiment. You know, I'm born and raised in Nigeria, man, and the perspective I have, the perspective I have is a little bit different from the global perspective of how Africa or African culture.
Right. Well, there's a lot. I'm not saying he was a saint, but there's a lot of hate to go around, including Nigerians against Nigerians.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Okay.
Absolutely, I agree with
including
that.
the 1 million Igbos that was killed.
1.6 million to be exact.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you know exactly. So there's a lot of hate to go around.
There's a lot of hate to go around, but it's like this is the way I look at it, right?
When you're dealing with another country and another leader, it's not about love or hate. It's about what that person could do for you.
Interesting. Okay, so this is the way I look at what you just said, right? It's like someone saying, "Oh, I'm going to support Trump because his policies are great," even if I know for a fact that he would not hesitate to paint me as a black man in a bad position, and some people would not see my humanity regardless. So they'll say, "Well, you know, let's not get emotional about it. It's politics. You know,
there's a lot of
intelligence and all that."
There is a lot of things to support Trump for.
Okay, so this is where I draw the line for Trump. I don't mean to go there, but the line I draw for Trump is: do you remember the New York 5? That was when
I remember? I was raised in New York. I was there exactly when it happened.
Good. I was in Delaware when it happened, so I understand. So my point I'm trying to make to you is: if anyone comes at you,
what did Trump do with the New York 5? What did he do? He prosecuted them.
The fact that he actually took an ad in the
paper.
He
took an ad out. Yes, and what? And so what? Did he prosecute them?
It's not about prosecuting. Did he take the words back after they were exonerated, sir?
Do you know? Do you know there was a lot of black people?
My good sir, I'm asking you a question.
It doesn't matter whether he did or not. It doesn't matter whether he did or not. Okay, it doesn't matter whether he did or not. He didn't prosecute them. He didn't prosecute them. He also didn't force.
It's not about persecution.
I don't. Ad means nothing.
I think I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry.
Ad means nothing. Okay.
Okay, so all right,
the parent.
so
Hold, let me finish talk because,
can I
like I said,
respond to that?
hold on a second.
Can
Like
I
I
please
said, I grew
respond to
up in
that?
New York. I was there, so let me finish explaining to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a
Yes,
lot of
sir.
black people in New York at that time, did believe because it was so atrocious. A lot of black
Mm-hmm.
people did believe that those kids did it. Okay,
Okay. And
a
after
lot
they
of
were
black people did
exonerated,
right,
sir,
exactly.
I hear you.
Where were
I
their
hear
support? Because
you.
I was
I
out there.
hear
I
you.
was out there with Sharpton protesting, bruh. I was out
Oh,
there with
that's good.
Sharpton
That's good.
protesting.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Now,
So
no, thank
I'm
you for
telling you
that.
what
Now,
happened. Why I didn't know.
think
Let
you
me
listen.
finish talk because you think you know. I know. I was
I
there.
don't think I know. A man that thinks he knows doesn't know anything.
Are you listening to me, bro?
I am listening to you, my good sir. Go ahead.
Some of the parents of the children, because those children was scared to death, the parents were scared to death. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Told the kids to admit to the crime. Thought
Okay.
things would be a little bit better for them, a little bit easier for them. Okay? And the kids lawyers help them to make that decision. So the children were scared, the parents was scared, and a lot of black people were scared and knew what might happen. That's what happened. So whatever
Okay.
Trump did, he did. I'm not saying it was right, but he did it.
Okay.
But I'm
Okay.
just trying to let you know that a lot of black people felt the
Thank you
same
for
way.
educating me. Thank you for educating me on the nuances. This is where I stand, right? I believe it is better for you to atone when you are wrong. A person who does not atone for his wrong or her wrong deeds, let me know where they stand. If you cannot ask for forgiveness, then I cannot be with you.
It's
You
just a
know,
damn ad, bro. It's an ad.
it's an ad, but we
It's
do
an ad.
know we have everybody in America is so super smart, and there is no anti-intellectualism going on in the air, and people just don't hear stuff and believe it because that's the America we're living, right? We're living in a place right now where people don't even know what's going on.
Guys, real quick. Let me get it to Jagoon because he's writing, and then we can circle back and talk about that. Go ahead, Jagoon.
Sorry for hugging his space. I apologize.
No problem. Go ahead, Jagoon.
Thank you. Good day, guys. Good day, gentlemen. Good to see you back, Prince Dennis.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Yes, sir. I think we're talking about South Africa in its various ways and in what they're going through. I mean, within years after apartheid finished and Nelson Mandela became president or prime minister, I'm not even sure which they have there. I knew that South Africa would go through quite a lot before they can be kind of seen by me, at least, as fully African. And what I mean by that, not to dissuade them at all, they're African. But because of what they made of the country through the apartheid years, you know, the whole idea of color in itself, this showed me that they are going to go through a lot of complications that are more ingrained with the New World, America, the Caribbean, and such like, rather. So they're going through that dilemma of consciousness and of identity. And I think grace needs to be given to them to grow into themselves. It's not easy to enter into a new space. I mean, South Africa is about 25, 30 years old now in terms of this new administration away from apartheid. And it takes a long time to undo illness that has been poured into you. Because of the infrastructure down there and because of the wealth that South Africa had, especially 20, 30 years ago, everybody in the rest of Africa and in the rest of the world is rushed down there, especially Nigeria. And it's unfortunate that Nigerians, there's so many of us. We are so diverse. And we as much as we are well-behaved people in the main, we are also, I always put it like this, Nigeria are the best of Africans. At the same time, Nigeria are the worst of Africans.
Facts.
And if we understand this, then we can understand that there is going to be a discrepancy between South Africa and Nigeria. But owing to South Africa itself and the disappointments that it may show to the rest of the African world as being how African are you, how black are you. Without people like Julius Malema, it will be difficult to see the blackness of South Africa at this time.
That's true.
When we look at people like Julius, we are reminded that we are there. So I feel that we do have to give a lot of grace to South Africa. We have to assist them. We have to be patient with them. I'm not a patient person, and I am aggrieved at times. South Africa come up with their kind of xenophobic rhetoric. Having said that, I don't think Nigeria has anything to say to anybody, to be honest. Nigeria is, I'm a person, I'm extremely disappointed with Nigeria, extremely disappointed. I'm disappointed because Nigeria should not be the country that it is today. 2024, Nigeria should be at least a $3-4 trillion economy, and it's far
or more,
or indeed much more.
Yeah,
I try to be as conservative as possible. I find the way Nigeria is and the way Nigerians behave in the light of the doom that we're looking upon in our future. I don't think we're awake. I don't think Nigerians are awake. I think we're still sleeping, which is, for me, it's a crime. It's a pain in my heart that we are slow in making the necessary changes to perform a real nation. In fact, with this Tinubu government and with the sleepy years, we are actually going backwards. So I don't think Nigeria has much to say against South Africa because, to me, we're much worse. We've had our freedom for much longer, and we don't have anything there. We don't have.
I don't think we've gotten our freedom, sir. Sorry.
Well, I might agree with you, but what I mean by that is that because we haven't understood. There are leaders like Nkrumah who said that we are going to go into what they call neo-colonialism. But I think Nigeria largely ignored this. So we're just sleeping in the neo-colonialism like it's comfortable for us. And it's not comfortable for anybody in that country apart from the elites. So, I'm a great critic of Nigeria because I believe it needs to criticize it.
Yeah, for you to be a good Nigerian, you have to be a good critic of Nigeria.
Well, you can say that as well.
That's true.
What I sort of perceive in the whole African continent is that there is no leadership. The leading countries are not leaders. Both South Africa and Nigeria should be leading countries in the African continent, in the black world, I dare say. But neither of them are. Neither of them are. And it's a good thing because what's happened over the last 400 years, if I put it that way, is that the African Americans or the Black Americans have taken the large responsibility for Black sovereignty in a country where they are not necessarily seen as sovereign. And I know people have heard me critique America greatly, and I do, especially over the last 10, 20 years. But what we know as Black people that they have done to emancipate themselves and therefore emancipate other Black people in terms of their mentality, in terms of their history. Which way forward? We are still duffing our caps to the Americans. And I feel that the African Americans, I won't say they've lost their way. I will put it that maybe they're tired. Maybe they're tired of having this weight on their back constantly. And I think that the rest of the Black world is assisting them in the way we need assistance. So all these critiques that we put ourselves, I think we need to we need to look in the mirror.
If I may add to that.
Wait, before you add, my brother.
Sorry.
I think we need to look in the mirror and positively critique ourselves in such a way that there is change in our own nations. Because without that, we're blind leading the blind. It's very frustrating. I'll end there.
sorry if I may add to that. Everything you said was spot on. But in terms of the African American thing, I kind of would like for you to give them a little bit grace, right? And the reason I'm saying that is I used to see things from a different perspective, but I see it from a broader perspective now. You said something about them being tired. That I see that. You know, I look at myself as a Pan-Africanist, right? And my version of Pan-Africanism is almost close to what you would see like maybe about Vermin fight for, right? Not so much the Kwame Nkrumah or so much the Dubois version, right? So, when I see when I see African Americans, I see they've been fighting for such a long time just to get some kind of dignity, right? And that struggle has allowed other Black people from around the world to come to this new world, right? But what people are not considering is the narrative around the world. I'm a veteran. I'm a U.S. veteran, right? And I remember when I joined the U.S. Air Force, coming straight out of Africa, I was almost programmed to think my African American brothers were the bad ones, right? Every single base I was stationed overseas was propaganda to us. Look at how these African Americans are behaving, right? So then imagine yourself being an African American, right? And then you meet someone who looks like you but has a different orientation because they've been programmed by either Fox News or whatever the case may be. It's tiring, bro. It's tiring. So I think grace is a good word. You know, grace is undeserved favor. Grace is a good word. But I think until we start changing the narrative to tell our own individual stories to ourselves so we can see our struggle, then something will change. Nigeria is not going to change overnight. South Africa is not going to change overnight. And our African American community is not going to change overnight. You know, we need to talk to each other. We actually need to talk to each other. That's where it is. You know that, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Dennis.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I'm gonna stick with South Africa.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm not gonna deal with Nigeria. Nigeria got their own problems. All right. The topic is South Africa. All right. South Africa didn't even get close to what slavery did to our ancestors in the Americas and so forth and so on. All right. So this idea of give them a break, nah, bullshit. Right. Dennis, we're talking about simple stuff. Denying athlete visas, kids. Huh? What kind of nonsense? What kind of nonsense?
That's some BS. Right,
I know though, but it's Stockholm syndrome though. Let me finish. Denying somebody that was born in your country. I don't F the laws, right? A young lady to participate in a goddamn pageant. What kind of nonsense is that?
Delroy, my brother. Can I just ask you?
I'm talking about simple stuff.
You're right. I hear you. I hear you, Delroy. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you, as a Jamaican and somebody who has understood the history of 400 years, can you not see from such a mindset as you have that a new country as South Africa is, large compared to Jamaica, it's very new. Can you not see that they are going through the experiences that you've already been through? Can't you see that?
Oh, that's a good
and
point.
what I mean by the experiences of deep ignorance.
Yep, self-hate.
Bruh, I grew up with here in the UK, and Jamaicans were extremely ignorant. It was only the Rastafarian among them that knew fully that they were African. The rest of the Jamaicans, they said, "Nah, man, me not African. Me is not African. I am Eastern." They came up with so much ignorance that we took it on. So
the Caribbean people.
Wait. For you
But
not be able to
Jagu,
do
now
it.
you could be Jagu, you could be long-winded. So
But
let
it's not,
bro.
it's
So
not long-winded. I'm
talk
putting it to him. It's not long. Don't say long-winded as though you don't understand what I'm saying.
I
If
know,
you understand,
Jagu, you could be long-winded.
how do I break it down quicker? How do I break it down quicker, my friend?
Okay, this is what I'll do. This is what I'll do. Jagu,
I'm trying to
you
ask the guy a question. Would you allow me to speak?
Jagun, you got a minute. I'm gonna give you 1 minute.
Bro, there's only 4 of us here.
I'm gonna hard stop at 1 minute. Go
There's
ahead,
4 of
Jagun.
us here.
All
We're
right,
having a
make your point. Make your point.
My point is simply, do you, as a Jamaican, not see that when you look upon the African continent, that most African countries are still very mentally tied in colonialism? And if you understand that, then you have to look for what it is, as opposed to pushing it somewhere you come.
Jakun, I'm talking about simple stuff. Simple stuff.
To you, it's simple.
Okay. You're making an excuse for them. I'm not gonna. I'm not.
I don't think it's making
I'm not gonna buy that.
I don't think it's
showing you something.
No, you're not telling me anything, bro. You're not telling me anything.
Something, bro. You don't have to.
Okay?
You can be ignorant if you wish.
Like I said,
but you don't have to. You don't have to. You have to, in life. What we're trying to do as Black people is to lead people out of the hell that we are in and the hell that we have been in. If all we're going to do is cut people down, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. So continue, my brother. I'm listening.
All right, like I said, I'm gonna stick to I'm just sticking to just simple stuff. Simple stuff. Okay, simple stuff. That's what I'm sticking to. And the South African, when you ask, because I spoke to some of them, when you ask them, how come there are 2 million? Listen to what I'm saying. There are 2 million illegal white people. I'm not talking about the white South Africans, right? 2 million illegal white people in South Africa. 2 million. You understand? They have no beef with it. When you talk to them, say, "Oh, we'll deal with them." You deal with what? We're not talking about the white South Africans. We're talking about the illegal white South Africans. Some of them is even from America. Some of them brag about being illegal in South Africa. You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. So you're gonna take your brother. Forget about the Nigerians. Your next door brother, Eswatini, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, have the same ethnic group. The same ethnic group. Okay, as them. The same bloodline as them. Botswana, the people that in Botswana, the same bloodline. These people have beef with them because before Nigeria, Zimbabwe was the big thing. Because there's millions of Zimbabweans in South Africa. At the border post. At the border post, Zimbabwe, South Africa border post. The regular Zimbabwe farmers who are basically the same damn people are stoning those people from coming across. That's what I'm saying.
If I may, Delroy, I'm
talking
not
about the simple stuff.
I'm not. Listen to me. Listen.
And then you give up your Black people for white people? Huh? Man, get out of here, man. You give up your Black people for white people?
Wait, my friend. What I'm telling you is I don't disagree with your mindset where isms are. I don't disagree. I'm not even trying to necessarily defend South Africa because they make me as upset as they may make you. However, we have to understand where it is that we're trying to go and where it is that we are and what we need in terms of process to make things work. On the African plane as a whole, things are not working. As much as there may be progress here and there, and we may celebrate these progresses, generally, things are not working for the masses. They are not. And they're not working for the masses, largely because of neo-colonialism.
But I do have sympathy for them. I do have sympathy for them.
Wait. Secondly, because of the leaders that we have, and thirdly, because of the mindset that we have been in for the last 50 to 100 years. Now, these things need serious attention. And if all we do,
I'm gonna
wait, my
show you where
brother,
you're
wait, my
wrong.
brother. If all we do is speak from an emotive international point, then we don't understand what's going on in the land itself. We have to understand. I believe that Caribbean people, Black American people would have a deeper and should, not that they do, but should have a deeper understanding of what's going on in the context in the continent because of the context that we are in under
Bro, that is
white is best. The
Thank
Caribbean has
you.
been through. The Caribbean is only recently that the Caribbean is like fully immersed in itself that we are a black nation. Prior to that, we know in Jamaica there's a whole heap of issues with who is colorism that goes on. You know, this is Jamaica by itself. We're not even talking about the rest of the Caribbean. You've been through these stuff, so your position should really be how you advance.
Everybody been through it. Everybody been through it. But we're going through it in a new land. Just because there's black people in the Caribbean, that's not our home. Okay,
I
that's
know,
new
no, I
land.
understand
That's
this.
a new land.
What you must
Okay.
understand, what you should understand, is that we on the African continent do not use the term black politically in the way it is in the West. We are, I'm a Yoruba person. You understand? So the word, the terminology of black doesn't even come into it, my brother.
That's true. I see
It
myself as
only
an
comes
Edo
into it
person
on the
first. You're right.
international political term. And if you're not understanding this, then you're not going to be able to advise anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Before you came on, I said Jamaica was the first country to sanction South Africa. This is in the 70s, to sanction South Africa, right? So we were thinking Pan-Africanism back then, right? In the 20s and the 30s, when Marcus Garvey came online, we
This
were
is the
thinking
experience I'm talking
Pan-Africanism
about.
then, right?
Exactly.
But that's my, but listen to me, that's my point. Now you say I don't have
Exactly.
sympathy for them. You say I don't have sympathy for them. I do have sympathy. But you know who I have sympathy for? I have
See,
sympathy
fuckers, man. Why do
people like
this Jay
Malema.
Sanders? Who the fuck are you, Jay Sanders? Talking about I live in the UK, so I should be quiet. What the fuck does that mean? Idiot.
Listen, brother, listen. Like I said, I'm dealing with the simple stuff, and I do have sympathy for them. But I have sympathy for the ones that's trying to break out of it, like Malema. They threw him aside. Huh? Look at this last election. Hmm? Look at this last election. Look how much black people is in the apartheid party, which is the DA party. Huh? And as hard as Malema tried, they threw him aside and said, F you, Malema, we don't care. You can move to Nigeria if you want. Okay? You take him. That's what they told
That's my
Malema.
sentiments about
I wish
people
he
voting
would.
for Trump.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So
Jay
I'm talking
Sanders,
about
the wanker.
within.
Look at you
They're
wanking about.
dissing
Worship your queen. Because
their
I'm in
own
this
people.
country. Sorry, my brother. I have to talk to this fuck say. Jay Sanders, you're a fuckhead. Because I'm in the world and I'm
Easy,
living
man.
in
Easy,
Europe.
easy,
Fuck
easy,
him
bro.
about easy.
Easy.
I'm not
Hey,
easy, my brother.
guys, let hold on. Let
on.
Delroy finish. Go ahead, Delroy.
Like I said, I'm gonna
all these
Diamond,
fuckers out there, man.
tonight.
You got too many fuckers on.
Hey, go ahead, Delroy. Go ahead. Good job. Go ahead.
Could you mute his mic, please? Let me finish.
I'm sorry, my
Like I
brother.
said, I'm gonna stick with the simple stuff. The simple stuff. I know what South Africans are going through, and I do have sympathy for them. All right, but I'm gonna take to the simple stuff. You don't cast your brothers and sisters aside, right? For no damn apartheid descendant and the illegal whites that's in there. You see what I'm saying? If you and your brother have
Let him finish, please.
if let me finish. If you and your brother have a problem, go to the side and punch each other in the face. But you're punching your brother in the face for the white man. You see what I'm saying? To please him. Just the other day, Don has just put that on, and I knew the story already. A white dude right? And two others killed these two ladies, one Zimbabwe, one South African, and throw them to pig.
Yeah,
This
that
is
was sad.
2024. You see what I'm saying? This is
Yeah, that was
2024,
sad.
right? The entire country, they should burn the whole fucking place down. You see what I'm saying? They should burn it down. You said something like that? Are you serious? Right? They were Donna showed an interview the mayor. He had no upset on his face. His face was blank. The newscaster was putting out the story. No upset. It was pure smile. How could you smile with that? That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
You
so
see what I'm saying?
let me
What the
say
fuck
something
is
to
wrong
this,
with
please,
y'all?
bro. Let me say something to this, right?
You see?
So, what you're saying is spot on, but there's another aspect I don't think you're considering, which is the fact that if you're scolding somebody with your left hand, you should also embrace them with your right hand, with the spirit of Ubuntu, right? So we're not saying what you're saying is wrong. Actually, you're spot on all the way through. You know, I'm basically saying they're going through some kind of psychological trauma from all what they've been through. We can all agree to that. They're in love with their captors. I mean, look at the beauty pageant lady. She's not even of African descent. We can keep on talking about this all day. You're right. But the solution is what I'm thinking we should focus on, which is we should talk to each other more often. We should share our experiences more often. You know, then we should understand what is happening to us. That's all. No one is saying what you're saying is wrong. South Africa is how many million people? Not even like, they're not a lot. You know, they're fighting for
54
resources.
million.
Exactly. And what is the size of Nigeria, for example? Exactly. So, I'm
There-
basically saying here that we need to give them grace. You know, I can be mad at you, but at the same time, I can still love you too. You know, we all know psychologically what
And,
they're
and,
going through.
and bro, this is 2024, bro. 2024.
Mhm.
What great, what more this is when we were fighting back then when we were young, we didn't have information like this. We have information now that we in split seconds anywhere around the world. I don't care where it is. In
And we were
split
not
second we
also
get
this, and
information.
we were also
You
not
see
this
what I'm saying?
educated too. You're right. We're also not this educated to understand certain things. Nowadays, you hear the words cognitive dissonance, buzzword all around because America is a country of buzzwords, right? The average person knows what a cognitive dissonance person is, or blah 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 blah. We know how to maneuver the psychological world a little bit more. It's also a fact that a generation of people could be traumatized and they not know they're traumatized. You know, so I'm not disagreeing with you what they're doing. I'm saying
The
solutions on how to save our brothers and sisters so we can all be in unison. That's all.
save sense.
Go ahead, I didn't hear you.
How the hell how are we gonna save them? How are we
How
gonna
we go?
save them?
I think I don't think I have the full answer to this. I admit to it, but I think the best way to actually start saving anybody is to start talking and listening. You know, there's something that South Africa did when apartheid ended. I'm not telling my age now, but there was a reconciliation committee or something like that. I don't know if anybody remembers this. And the
I
whole
remember.
essence of this was you come around, if you're a Mzungu person, sorry, white person, you come in and you tell the atrocities of all the things you've committed, right? And you don't go to jail for that. They all listened and they all heard what the atrocity was done and they forgive the person and they moved on. At least that's what they said. You know, the point is they were trying to practice that spirit of Ubuntu. I exist because you are. You are because I exist. So on and so forth. I'm thinking we need to start talking to our black population around the world to share our stories. You know, I can talk about so many stories that happen in Nigeria, but I bet you some Nigerians don't even know that. You know, the same thing goes to the Caribbean. Same thing goes to African American
Could
brothers.
we
We need to start talking.
could we I don't want to speak about Nigeria today. I'm sticking to South Africa.
I'm talking
It's
about
all
the
right,
Okay?
black
man. All right.
population
Do
as
I'm,
a
you
whole.
do? Do you do, bro?
I'm
Do you do?
you're right. I'm listening. I'm sticking with South Africa. And all I'm saying is the way they rejected Julius Malema and his people and the way they gravitated towards the DA
Yep.
is telling me that they do not want to bring themselves out of the situation. They're
Yeah,
not
because
even
they see
trying.
themselves better than you and I.
Okay? They like I said, they do not want to bring themselves out of the situation. Okay. That's what they're not even trying. The small percentage that's trying, they cast them aside.
Is South Africa a welfare state?
It what are you talking about?
Does South Africa give stipends to its citizens?
They do get stipends.
Okay, so what does that breed?
What are you talking about? They get more here in America and also in Europe. That's what I don't understand. What do you think we get here? America, England, the Scandinavian countries. They get stipends. They get everything, Medicaid, everything.
Hey, let me pass it to Danny Line. Danny Line, go ahead.
Hey, Dinus. Okay, so I just wanted to get straight to the point. The real issue with South Africans is the men that had the issue, and it's jealousy. Okay, it's jealousy because I've seen it. It's the Nigerian men are hooking up with the South African women, and you saw with this Chidema. I'm being serious with the model. If you looked at all the comments, the South African men were angry because apparently they were calling these South African women traitors, talking about how they're always hooking up with the men, and it makes sense. And on top of that, recently I looked at the statistics. There was some video and it showed some officials from South Africa where they were breaking down the crime statistics, and it showed that 99% of all crimes in South Africa were being committed by South Africans themselves, and the rest were by other groups, including Zimbabweans and a couple of Nigerians. So what I've been seeing online is South Africans claiming, oh, the reason they have an issue with Nigerian men is because they're committing all the crimes, but the actual statistics by the actual South African government shows no, it's your own people committing the crimes. But what it is you guys don't want to make yourselves look pathetic because you're crying because your women prefer Nigerian men. So what you have to do is invent a reason to hate on Nigerians, and of course accusing them of all the crimes in South Africa,
That
as if
happens in Kenya also, brother.
as if South African isn't the number one when it comes to carjackings and all that other violent stuff going on, which Nigerians aren't taking part in. So I'm just calling it as it is. And another thing I'm going to say is the reason these FBA people love South Africans so much is because they've got the same mentality. You see, with black South Africans, I think they're annoyed because any achievement that they come up with is always going to be tied to white people. It's because they can't do anything without white people. It's a fact. And the same with these people that call themselves FBA. The FBA want to act like they're the gatekeepers of America when they can't even gatekeep hip hop. So it's actually
Damn,
quite
that's
funny. You'll
cold.
see them like actors. Imagine you're going for a job interview and you've spoken to the manager, you've got the job, and then you've got a janitor. He's watching, he's hating on you. He's saying, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And they've got a pass. That's FBA.
Hey, Danny Line, there's a lot of like
So we
wind
had
or
the
there's a lot
interview.
of Danny Line. There's a lot of wind or just background noise going on. I don't know if you got your fan on or what's going on.
Can you hear me better now? I'm in
Yeah,
the car.
it's better. Go ahead.
What about now?
We can hear you.
Can you hear
Go
me?
ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. So yeah, imagine that spoken to the boss, the white boss. He's been allowed in the country. Then you've got the hating Stephen Django janitor asking, "What you doing here in the building?" Like, shut the hell up. Okay, I already spoke to your massa. Fuck off. And that's why a lot of these South Africans have got the same attitude. It's not really their country because whites own like 90% of the wealth in South Africa, just like whites own 98% of the wealth in America. And on top of that, the 2% of the wealth in America what people don't seem to understand, these FBA clowns, is that 20% of the blacks in America, they're either recent immigrants or they're children of immigrants. So that little 2%, some of that actually belongs to black immigrants as well. So black Americans own even less. So that's just for these FBA clowns in the comment section, calling themselves lions and all that kind of stuff, like they're really doing something. It's funny how these FBA people, they'll say, "Oh, all you Africans do is talk about us," but when it's these Pan-African spaces, it's funny how they always seem to show up. It's like, what, Tariq Nasheed talking about tethers isn't enough for them. They want to be everywhere at once, wanting to know what everyone else is doing.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to say.
so, but to be fair with African Americans, you're only talking about a small percentage, of African Americans that call themselves FBA. It's a very small percentage.
Oh,
They loud on the
I'm only
internet.
referring to FBA.
Huh?
Yeah, I know. I'm only referring to FBA when I
Right.
say that because I
It's a
understand
small
the
percentage. A
majority of
small.
Black Americans. Yeah, majority
Yeah,
of
it's a
Black
small
Americans are
percentage.
very sensible.
Right.
Let me just finish. When I look at FBA, they're just the ghetto lowlives of Black society. They don't make up the majority of Black society. They're just a small amount of internet trolls who are unhappy with their own lives, and they're immigrants because they didn't attain a level of education in order to have jobs in which they can't fear immigrants. These are the usual low-skilled people who, of course, an immigrant could just come into the country and do better than them. So that's why I say when I talk about FBA, we all know that FBA are the ghetto, low-life class of America. Most Black Americans are decent, hardworking people who I respect. But when I say these negative things, it's just FBA. That just the ones that call themselves FBA. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I enjoyed that rant. Thank you, Dinus.
The
Thank
word
you.
ghetto is reinforcing
I
the
enjoyed
negative
it.
stereotypes, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. Whatever. Bye.
Well, again, I'm sticking with South Africa. Um, like I said, right? They're on the African continent. The FBA is in a captured society. So if some of their mind is twisted, we could understand more. But these people are 80% or 85% of South Africa, and they're still in this condition, and they refuse to come out of it. And when other Black South Africans try to get them out of it, they toss them aside. Right? These are the things I'm pissed with. You see what I'm saying? These are the things I'm pissed with.
I understand you, but without repeating yourself, you said that Black Americans are living in a captured state, which I could agree with to a large extent. Do you therefore think that because we call the place Africa, that it is free?
It's not.
Well, I think that's the climate you need to come from, in understanding the machinations of oppression that they are in. And I agree with you that the majority of Africans are giving themselves this oppression. I got out of blaming the white man, and it's not the white man is not to blame, but it's a position that we are stuck in. It doesn't allow us to perform what we need to perform. There's an example on the continent, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, who are trying extremely well to rid themselves not only neo-colonialism that they have befallen upon, but also to rid themselves of all of the stool pigeons and all of the terroristic issues that befall their countries. I don't know if you heard this week of a serious terror attack in Burkina Faso. And when you look at the major problems that they have, it should bring our minds into understanding that, man, Africa has more problems than America or the Caribbean. It has much more problems: economic, social, political. All of them. They're just with issues. And these issues, if I talk about a country that I know very well in Nigeria or any country in West Africa.
Yeah, but we know who's
Hear me,
doing
brother.
terrorists.
Hear me. We are not trying to have a discussion instead of just repeating ourselves.
Your mic is breaking up. Your system is breaking up.
Yeah, Jagoon, your mic is breaking up. But guys, let's run a roll.
How
We're
do
gonna
we
roll for about
fix
10
it? Is
more
what I'm
minutes.
trying to say. How do we fix it? Is what I'm trying to figure out. How do we fix it? You know, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, brother. Yes, it's a terrible situation. I'm also agreeing with your other brother, Africa.
My man's gone now.
Yeah, go ahead, Jagoon.
What you
No,
can't fix it.
you're going in and out as well, my brother.
Sorry, sir. I was only asking, how do we fix it? We all agree that
I think reasonably for the amount of time that I spent on the black issue globally, I've delved deeply into our history. I've dealt deeply into our politics, dealt deeply into our social climes here where I'm living and abroad. And largely, our problems are very similar. What I see here in the UK, the black community is about 3 million. And I'm telling you, if we took just 10%, 5% of UK black people into any nation in Africa, and I would think that this will be largely the same in the States or the Caribbean, the influences that we can bring to the African continent, socially, politically, economically, would really access a movement, a forward progressive movement on the continent. But I don't think we really understand the problems of Africa.
We're not there yet because we have bad
Wait,
governance.
wait. You can't say we're not there yet complain the way you're complaining. When I'm listening to you, you are making mention of things that you are sick of based on your experience in the Western world. Now, Africa is not the Western world, my brother. You got to understand.
How did I give you that impression, sir? Please.
You gave me that impression based on the way you are looking at it. You're looking at it in black and white terms. In South Africa, the white people have so in conscience themselves on the African continent. They are doing so many things through their economic power across the African plain, and you don't see them. You don't even see them, but they're doing it. And so the war is economic. And unless we really enter into the economic space and take what is ours, we don't have mouth.
It is
We don't.
hard to do so, my brother. I have a hospital in Hawaii, and I try to open the same exact hospital in Nigeria. I got scammed, frustrated, and so it's
Bro, I'm not saying it's easy.
It's hard,
No.
man.
Listen,
I'm trying to
hear
build
me
for my
out, bro.
people too.
Yeah. I agree, but I'm not
Well,
saying
I don't know how
anything.
this keep going back to Nigeria.
No,
It's
because
not
we're
about
talking
Nigeria. You brought it there. It's not about Nigeria. I'm speaking about the whole place. Stop. Having this feeling about the subject that we're talking about. We're talking about black people as a whole. Yes, it may be particular to South Africa, but the problems in South Africa are the problems that all black people face at one stage or the other.
Exactly.
So, therefore, my brother asked what's the way forward. And I'm
Thank you.
telling you that the way forward has to be on an economic plane. If we are not fighting this war economically, we're not fighting at all. Finish.
Oh, aren't you? You're in England, right?
I am.
What in England? The stuff that the black people are going through in England right now. What do you think about that, and what's going to happen with that?
In terms of what, my brother?
The racial thing? Is that what you're asking?
Exactly,
question.
and tell it.
Well, you
and
may
allow them tell them that they want them out of the country.
That's a
good question. Okay. Listen to this for an answer. You may watch the news and become alarmed at what you see, but I will tell you that you don't understand it.
I'm not alarmed. I'm not alarmed or surprised.
Okay, wait. Let me land,
Educate
and
us.
hopefully there's some understanding. England is America. the white people in the UK are far different from the white people in America. And what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean by that is not that they're not bigoted or they're not racist. No, they have that definitely. But what it is that in the 50 years that black people have been a a people recognized in this country, there has been so much influence that black people have put in the UK that there are so many white people that behave like black people. You like it or not? What happened with the racists? Yeah, I live in
You,
Southeast
you,
London. Yeah.
you said
Oh,
white behave like black people. What are you talking about?
well, in terms of our
Mannerisms.
influence, yes. Thank you.
I know what you mean.
Good, good. So with this, you know, when there were these IDF people or whatever they call themselves, racist people, saying that they were coming to Lewisham, they were coming to Croydon, they were telling us where they were going. And we thought, you can't come to London and do that. You can't come to London and do what you've done in the north of the country. So as they began coming to London, you know who the first line of defense was? The first line of defense was the white people, old, young, in between. And they stood up and said, no racist man is coming into this town to do fuck all. And that's what the white people did. I don't know if that would happen in the States. I think
Yeah,
if the
London is
same
its
thing
own
happened in
country
the
though,
States,
bro.
Of course, it would happen in the States.
well, I think it would be a race riot. I think the race riot would have been much deeper in the States than ever would be here.
In the Black Lives Matter movement, who you think was out there more than anybody else? Who you think was burning those places down?
Maybe it's similar. I don't know. But what I'm
That's
saying is
also a
for
good point
England,
too.
Okay, well, it was white people burning those places down.
we don't know, brother.
Well, I'm telling you, was it one of them burning a Burger King right down the road from me, right in closer to Diners?
Yeah, definitely close to me. The whole the Wendy's got burnt down.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
man,
right. They
really?
burned this shit down. White people, a white woman burned it down in a black neighborhood.
That's the difference. What I'm saying is that is the difference between here and there. Now,
Well,
I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying that there is a difference.
you said
And
it's a different mindset.
these differences, they need to be understood. They
They
need to be
they they
understood.
they just as racist as the ones here. That's where they got them from. They're the sons and daughters here.
I'm not arguing
Well,
that,
their
brother. I
racism,
already
hell, they're
put
way
that
more
in
racist.
my sentence.
Their racism is just way more covered than we. Our racism is uncouth and uncultured. Their racism is sophisticated.
Exactly.
Come on now.
That's what I always tell everybody. The best white people in America are the rednecks.
Because what you see is what you get. I get that, you know.
Exactly. They're
No,
the rednecks.
I agree with you on that all day, all day. What you see is what you get. I rather want to know that you are racist towards me and you are not. Then you
Yep.
pretending towards me. That's the worst one.
Me personally, I live my life. I don't deal with racism stuff. If racism comes to my door, I deal with it there and then. But in terms of in the atmosphere, me, I'm going forward regardless. We're not waiting for nobody. You understand? I'm not waiting for no one to do no shit. Because I know that the whole place is full of shit anyway. So therefore, once I've understood that, how do I make sure that I am progressive, that I am progressing, and that we as a collective can do things? And in this UK, it's hard to be as successful in the UK
As a
in
black
America.
entrepreneur, we need to support other black people who are on the positive scale. That's where I'm coming from. You know, I'll put my money any day, any time to a brother's business or a sister's business that I know stand for strong African values. And maybe that's a good way to start.
It is a good way. That's the way.
That's how I live my life. I could basically be angry right now and saying, you know what? I try to go to my country of birth to go start the business I have in America too, and I got scammed 6 ways to Sunday. I hate that country. I don't want to go back. But I know the mindset. I know the crab in a basket mentality. I know how it is. So that does not scare me from going back to try to do something better. You know, so we should not be discouraged. We should also know that we are all going through some kind of trauma, either we like it or not, and we have to recognize it.
Yeah, but guess what? If you don't invest in Nigeria, those
I do.
white folks, Indians, Chinese, they will take it up. They have no problem taking it.
Well, Nigeria has more black businesses than any other
Of
African
course,
country.
of
Yeah,
course.
all day,
That's why
every
it's my
day.
favorite. That's why it's my favorite country. I don't care what that's going on over there or what they do. You see what I'm saying? That's who I'm sticking with, and to me that's the benchmark. And sometimes you have to look at the good and the positive, and forget about the bad or put the bad aside for now. Right? Today or this week, Dangote refinery finally after all these years now came online. Now let's see what's gonna happen. Let's see what's gonna happen from here.
Tinubu's gonna frustrate that guy. Just so you know.
Well, let's see. Well, he said
Because the reason why that is happening is because Tinubu has an offshore refinery that he wants that refinery to be.
Mm. Well,
Yeah,
he's gonna find out. He can't
so
listen. No one lives forever. Nobody lives forever. It's one thing you must do is die.
the power struggle in Nigeria is no joke, though.
Okay? Yeah, I know.
No
I
joke,
know.
though.
But guess what? That's growing pains.
We all
That
should
is
just
growing pains.
we all should
They,
empower each
the
other. If we
powers
do
that
that, we'll
be,
be good.
the powers that be, America, Europe, they do not want Nigeria to develop because they
And that's a
know what's
fact.
going to happen.
All
They
day.
know what's
Facts.
going to happen.
That's true.
Okay,
That's true.
it's over for them. It's over for them, and they definitely don't want African Americans, especially, and Nigerians to get together.
Oh,
Okay,
that's a bad
they want them to
recipe. If
have
African
beef
Americans and Nigerians
altogether.
get along very well, over.
Okay,
Over.
over,
Over. All
and
day.
they don't want, and they know that,
The
and they will tell you that
the
too. They're not
day
afraid to tell
Nigerians
you.
get their acts together and African Americans get their acts together and they become
Yep,
one, oh my
yep,
God.
it's over
Hope
for it.
I
Okay,
hope on my life to see that.
Well, one can see it. One can see it because we can see the budgeting, flowering of these things taking place.
Talk about Avengers.
Dynasty is an example in him. Hold on, guys. Dynasty is an example in himself, and there are many African Americans like Dynasty who are on the continent or thinking of coming to the continent for progressive means. The thing is, we really do have to have a steely attitude as to what it is that we are actually doing,
that's
and the
my
fact
point.
that hold on, the fact that between America and Europe, as was said, they don't want to see Nigeria burst into its. If Nigeria bursts into itself,
It's
it
scary,
really is
man.
game over. Really, really is game over because
It's scary.
the amount that
It's
we
scary.
have in that just one country, if we can wake up West Africa and the Francophone countries, that is the beginning of us
I don't.
solving our
You
real
know what?
problem.
You're right, but this is what I think Nigeria should do. Nigeria should not wake up West Africa because it's going to be harder. I think if Nigeria and African Americans get together,
My
West
brother,
Africa will
I
wake up.
disagree. I disagree. It's
Okay,
not to say that West what it is. What it is. Listen.
because
Look, that's
because
it. Wait,
Nigerians and African
guys,
Americans
guys,
are
please, if I
they
may,
lead the way.
if I may, when you look at Nigeria, it's on the continent. Nigeria is 250 million plus people. The next that has population to us is Ghana with 35. Then you start going down 22. There are countries that are 1.5 million.
Don't Senegal got like 80 million or something like that? Senegal.
No. Senegal is not 80 million. Now,
Okay, I don't know.
what I'm trying to put to everybody here is because of the progression of Nigerian people that we have an energy different than any other African, and we have a terrain that is getting smaller and smaller as we are getting larger and larger. We need all the space of West Africa. We need all of that space, and we need all of that space to become one market under one currency. If we have that, the Americans would flood to West Africa.
Influence is half of the
They'll
game, my
find
good
themselves.
brother.
They'll find
Influence.
themselves.
But let me ask you something. Isn't it kind of one market and already?
No, because the access to different markets. The fact that you have to change currencies, the fact that some currencies and some economies are much weaker than others. This makes it quite complex. You understand? But if it's fluid, if I'm going from Nigeria to Sierra Leone, and the currency is no different. I'm coming in there and I'm landing and I'm doing. It's just like going from New York to California. You have nothing is changed apart from the temperature.
But okay. There's something you're missing, though. Please, with all due
I
respect,
hope
my
you're
good sir.
understanding what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying, but I think there's a critical part you're missing. I don't know which brother was saying something like this, but I resonate with that. I think it was in the vein of we see ourselves. He said, "I see myself as a Yoruba person first." I don't know who the brother was that said something like that, and I agree with him. I see myself as an Edo man first, as a Bini man first, if I'm a Nigerian person, because that's my tribe, right? That does not mean I don't have my patriotic values towards Nigeria, quote unquote. You know, so it's going to be harder for you to galvanize West Africa that speaks tons of languages, even in
No, my
Nigeria
brother.
alone.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that Nigeria should be the governors of the whole of West Africa. No,
No, I'm saying
I'm saying
I know that. What I'm saying, sir.
Hey guys, we're gonna go ahead and close out. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, search for Haruk. Peace.
Thank you, Dynas. I appreciate
No
y'all.
problem.